Robservations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Now, one of the things that's always fascinated me is when you start really looking into what we know about our universe, which is almost next to nothing. And if you really start examining how big our universe is, where it may have come from, what does it all mean, the distances involved from getting from one place to another, it's almost, you almost have to like do some kind of Zen meditation to even start thinking about what our universe actually is. Now, most people would say, what does it matter? We're never going to know. And we're not. We're never going to know. But in my mind, I don't ponder questions about the afterlife, or, my sister and I might have debates about whether or not I'm going to go to heaven or hell, or whether my eternal soul is going to be saved. I have to say I've never been preoccupied with those ideas. I'm more preoccupied with the reality of the infinitude of the cosmos. What does it mean? Where did it come from? Why is it the way it is? Was it created by intelligent design? And if so, why was it made in this particular way? And why are we never going to know? We'll never know. So it's probably stupid to even think about it because there's no answers to be had. None. Yet, I always have loved stories like even Marvel's The Eternals. One of the things I really enjoyed about Eternals and enjoyed about the comic was the idea of the Celestials and, Arishem the Judge is going to come back and judge us, or what does it really matter? And, what but I love stories like that. And Nathan asked me about, there's a book by Michael Faber who wrote Under the Skin, which is also a science fiction movie that stars Scarlett Johansson. If you haven't seen Under the Skin, I highly recommend it. I warn you, it's an interesting experience. And if you've got a great TV sound system, please put it on. If not, wear some great headphones when you watch it and turn it up loud because it's worth watching. But Michael Faber, who wrote that book, also wrote a book called The Book of Strange New Things, which I actually have 2 copies of right up there. That is a very interesting book, along with a book called The Sparrow that deals with religion and cosmology together. And Scott Frank, who made The Queen's Gambit and Godless, is apparently adapting The Sparrow into a miniseries, which, by the way, I haven't heard anything other than he was going to do that. That would easily be one of my most eagerly awaited pieces of media that's being made. That and David Cronenberg's new movie, Crimes of the Future. Those are the 2 things that I am most excited about that are potentially being made right now that we haven't seen yet. More than any comic book movie, an adaptation of The Sparrow by Scott Frank, that shit, man, that turns my crank, let me tell you. So anyway, books about cosmology. I always talk about Peter Watt's Blind Sight, another book that deals with cosmology, the origins of the universe. I mean, obviously, 2001 is the great movie that's ever been made about cosmology and our place. What does it all mean? But it also deals with, when you're talking about Blade Runner, the reason that I love Blade Runner and why I do think Blade Runner is a great science fiction movie is at its core, it's asking questions that can man create artificial intelligence that is self-aware, that has a spirit, that has a soul? And if so, what does that mean? And I think that we've done some great films. I think Blade Runner and Spike Jonze's movie Her are great examples of science fiction. And to me, Star Wars, call Star Wars what you want, but if you strip away if you actually took the plot from Star Wars and every single thing that happened and took all of the aliens and droids, protocol droids, astromech droids, spaceships and whatever, and told the exact same story on Earth in the Middle Ages, you could tell that exact same story and barely change the script. You could keep the script. You're going to have to Tashi Station to pick up power converters. You could just say Tashi Station to pick up firewood. You could almost tell the exact same story of Star Wars in a different milieu because it is a fantasy. It's not science fiction. It is not reliant upon technology. But Rob, what about the Death Star? Call it whatever you want. Call it an overwhelming force. Maybe it's instead of a space station, it's a group of thousands of well-trained men on horseback, but it's the biggest group of horse riding men ever assembled in one place, and they sweep across the land and destroy any bit of civilization that's there. It doesn't have to be a Death Star. It's just an overwhelming military force. and maybe you have to go into their encampment or something, or make it a giant castle, a castle keep. Who knows? But you could actually tell the exact same tale that's being told in Star Wars and tell it as a medieval fantasy. That's why it takes place a long time ago. It's not a science fiction story. Does it really matter? No. It doesn't really matter, but I think we need to understand what is the story that's being told and how is it different. And I do think that a science fiction story is a story that is dealing with, you have to have the questions that technology, what arises when dealing with technology.